Hey everybody, welcome here to Pop Culture Philosophers. It's time for a Rockin Robbie Live, an impromptu Rockin Robbie Live, but today we're going to be talking with Stephan Nilson, damn it, and Kevin Stokes. I know, man, I had it perfect and then I thought too much about it. Anyway, Stephan's here and we got Kevin Stokes here. Kevin's my good buddy. You guys have heard about his work before, and they are kickstarting a remastered edition of a book that they've already done called Extinction. I've got the original right here, and they're kickstarting a remastered version of it. And I know that Kevin's like doing some new stuff and tweaking the artwork, and it looks amazing. I see some people talking about how awesome the artwork looks on the thumbnail, and I am really, really excited about this. It's zombie fiction, but it's thrilling, it's exciting. And so why don't you guys just go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourselves and about the project?
All right. Well, I mean, it was Stephan that created the book back in the day, and it's been around for about 15 years. That we've been wanting to revamp it for a while, and but it's been a lot of fun. And unlike a lot of other zombie or undead fiction out there, it deals with zombies that actually remember who they are, or and keep the ability, they act normally until it gets to their brain, and I don't know if Stephan can describe it a little bit better than I can, so you go ahead.
Okay, well, yeah, we'll call it zombie adjacent because while it always gets categorized in zombie verse because of the way the characters look and everything, it actually is a mutant strain of MS that's attacking the proteins like MS does, but it's causing the decay of the body, but it's not, the people aren't dying. So they're trying to figure out why they're not dying and what's causing the violent tendencies that the infected end up having. So the story takes place on Prince Edward Island in Canada. I wanted to do something in that because a buddy of mine, Charles Pritchett, who lives there, he and I work in comics together, and he showed me the Confederation Bridge, and it's just this awesome bridge that connects PEI to the mainland Canada. And outside of that, there's you have to take a ferry or anything else to get to the island. So it's a perfect place to have an apocalypse story because you can, cut yourself off from the rest of the world, which oddly enough, the reason we're bringing this back is because that's exactly what Prince Edward Island did during the coronavirus pandemic. They shut down the bridge. Basically, in order to get on the island, you had to be living on the island and had to have a very good reason to get off and come back. So I was like, this is, what we actually have that in this story. And Charles like, you got to put it back out. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. We got to put it back out. So I was talking to Kevin about, and we've bounced this back and forth several times over the past couple of years. Just the timing wasn't right. Just didn't have, either of us had the time to do it, the funds to kind of do it, but really wanted to redo the pages. Kevin's always showed me this gray wash technique that he's been doing, and he did a couple pages, and I was like, we got to find a way to do this because it just looks so much better. We have it on the Kickstarter. We can see the old and the new pages. Like just the double page spread where they're Hannibal, who's the main bad guy, who's in Chicago in the beginning of the story. He's turned the Chicago Bears Stadium, the Forum Coliseum into an actual Coliseum where they do the gladiator fights, the whole bit. And just that page alone, you'll see, the amazing difference between what it was and what Kevin's doing now. It's just sick.
Yeah, Kevin shared some of the pages with me, and it looks fan-freaking-tastic. It does, much more detailed and rich, and that grade that he's using, it just works so well. How did you two meet up in the first place to do the original version of this book?
Kevin we both had a mutual contact, Nathan. Oh man, I just blanked on his last name. I feel
Massingill.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If Nathan, you catch this video, I apologize.
No, it's fine.
I knew Nathan through Desperado Publishing when I was working there, and I was talking to Nathan about this, and he's like, I'm working with this kid Kevin, he's awesome, and so I looked at some of Kevin's stuff, and I was like, yeah, this is cool. He did a couple of test images of the main character Chris and Hannibal, and yeah, we just hit the ground running on it. It was, he just had like a really cool concept for the infected, and Kevin's got a great, he's got a great style that, like, while it's not like overly realistic, back then on this, but you could still look and see everything was there, and it was like just added like a really cool vibe to a horror story, because it was like, I don't use the term like to sound, it was simple but dark, and that's what I wanted. I didn't want, part of my vanity at the time, I didn't want the art to take away too much from the story.
Yeah.
He did a really good job of being able to keep the story going, and but still like just ratchet up the drama that was happening, because as the story progresses, there's like this big event that happens, but there's also a small story between Chris, his ex-wife, and his and two other people on the island. I don't want to go any on that. And he was able to get this small nuanced storytelling of these characters' personal life, but then just bring in the rage and damage that comes with Hannibal. So it was awesome. So I'm done flying. Sorry.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And Hannibal is like my undead Joker. So I have so much fun drawing him. He's so over the top. And again, you can never draw a wrong, undead character almost. It's like you can make him you can throw as much line work as possible, and it doesn't quite. You don't have to worry about over detail on some of that stuff.
Yeah, people like their zombies to be like gnarly and have a lot of or they're infected. Not necessarily that they're zombies. It's just an easy lump to put it in.
Oh yeah,
but that's definitely something that's going to happen. Yeah. But
bodies are twisted, they're deformed. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you said that the recent stuff going on kind of brought it back into your mind, but over the years, you guys were talking about bringing it back, because this was supposed to like continue on, right?
Yeah, we do have a second chapter, which, the idea of because it's all, paid and done, obviously, for Extinction 1. So the real idea behind doing the Extinction campaign is to give us funds to be able to do the second chapter.
Nice.
Yes.
And there are 6 days left, I think, on the Kickstarter right now.
Sounds about right.
Something like that. I think it ends next week on like maybe Thursday. I don't know. I would encourage you to check it out. They're near funded at this point, but every extra bit will of course help. The link is down in the description below, so definitely check that Kickstarter out. I am going to support it 100% because I just love Kevin's work. He's a homie of mine. We've shared some experiences together, and Stephan seems like a super cool guy, just for the little bit that we were chatting before we even started streaming. So these guys are super, super cool. Kevin, what was your favorite thing about working on this book, man?
Oh, I mean, again, dealing with the drama of the characters and the build up. It was also, again, just drawing the undead is a lot of fun, and again, you can get into that, like Stephan was saying, is, you had the nice calm moments, but then when things got energetic and in your face, it was nice to kind of just get excited and push that drama as much as possible, and to creep them out. Finding that line between, creeping people out, but also, being drawn into the story, and especially when you see that first scene of the family, where it's like they look like normally they look like a normal family, but you can tell there's just, you've never seen like a family portrait in a zombie type of form, infected form, so you try to straddle that line between creepy, but yet you still have that attachment to, you can tell that a slight love to these characters. There's still a humanity in them, but it's still, you can't help but be creeped out at the same time.
Oh yeah, and I think one of my favorite things about your work, Kevin, is that your characters are so expressive, and it really shows through. And with zombies, that's even better, or zombie type creatures, it's even better because you kind of get to share that through. So we've lost Stephan. He dipped out.
Lost Stephan.
He'll probably be back, but we lost him.
Yeah.
He's like, who cares about the artwork? Who cares about the artwork? So there, are you guys adding the touch of red into the whole thing now in the remaster, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it just pops so much more, and I've noticed that because I mean, even the black and white was great, but it's there's a lot of line work. It sometimes will compete with your attention, but with the gray tones, it still helps to separate, and then you have you can play with the textures more and effects more. But the red just pops, and it always grabs the eye's attention, like right, and you focus on the important parts of it, and it just kind of finishes the page so much better.
Oh yeah, the one of the images you sent me that I used for the thumbnail is that page right there. And dude, the new version of this page is so freaking wild. Holy cow, I want that on my wall. It looks so good.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I mean, if anything shows a growth of a random comic artist, this is one of those books for me, because I think the first time we started it, again, I'd always trained myself to be a penciler, but through the years you end up picking up inking and all kinds of things. But at first, the first half of the book originally was inked through pen work, and then there was even a hiatus for a moment when we were putting the book together. And but in between that hiatus, I had picked up a brush, so it had even looked a little different from the beginning when we started it. But since then, I mean, I've not only have I started to color work, I'm much more into the digital work, and so I feel like my growth as an artist as well shows a lot in this new remastered version.
Heck yeah. You both have worked in other comic books and for other publishers and other ventures and everything. Stephan, tell us a little bit about yourself and your career and what you've done.
The absolute thing I hate to do. I'm horrible at self-promotion. So
be as horrible as you want, so.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, I started in comics, I guess, in 2000, roughly. Wanted to be a TV writer, but I lived in Florida. It just wasn't happening. Buddy of mine, Steve Shin, said, "Hey, why don't you do comics?" I was like, "No, why don't I?" So I tried it. I'll never go back and read that book again. It was, at the time I thought it was awesome. And I look at it now and I'm like, this is garbage. But somehow I managed to Forrest Gump my way up. And, I met some people who became friends with some very cool artists, Steve Scott, who Kevin also knows, Carl Waller. Through that kind of, and Chuck Dixon, I was able to work with him on a book with Image.
Nice.
And so that was actually an education point for me. It's like got to work with Chuck and kind of see the process and go, oh, this is how you're supposed to write comics. And got better at it, and then started working at DC Comics a little bit with Johnny DC lines. Like my first book was Lego Batman, which was freaking awesome because it got to do Lego Joker just absolutely destroying Gotham because it's all Legos, and that was the whole point of the book, because they wanted to show that things break apart, put back together. So and then met Joe Pruitt, started working with him at Desperado Publishing, IDW, eventually Aftershock Comics.
Nice.
So that's the oververse of it. Again, horrible at self-promotion.
So you said you wanted to start off as a TV writer, so you like the long form, right? You like letting a developing story kind of slowly unfold out there?
Yeah, that's probably my biggest bane in comics, is because I do like doing, the arc story,
Yeah.
And sometimes in comics that doesn't work. People want that, that quick bite, and so with The Pound, which was probably, my most commercially successful at IDW. Mm-hmm. Like the first series, I had like the big story going on, but every issue, Chris Rouse like, got to put something more in there, make sure that, there's, a big action scene. I was like, all right, even though I'm trying to tell a story. Okay. So, and then, by the second series on that one, we really had the pacing going. But that was, so that's probably where I, really got into finding a way to tell the long story with each issue feeling like an episode.
Yeah.
So, I did get to write some TV
along the way, which is fun, like the Smallville animation. And
Oh, nice.
yeah, I did get to do more of a motion comic than television, but the pre-pilot for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, I got to check off several bucket list things in that year. So.
Hell yeah, right? So work on Superman, work on the Turtles.
Yep.
Right? Like it doesn't get much better than that, it seems sometimes. So I know that I've tried to write like movie scripts, I've tried to write television show scripts, and I've tried to write comic scripts and all that kind of stuff, and they're all so different. Like you can imagine a TV, producer telling you like every 10 minutes we want an action scene, for most projects, right? What was it like kind of shifting back? What's it like when you have to shift back and forth between those medium?
The biggest thing I have to remember is like for television, I get to lean on the actors a lot because there's, it's motion. And when a comic book, luckily when I get to work with like Kevin and Carl, artists that like I'm simpatico with, they know what I'm asking for, because I got to remember it's more of a film strip at that point. Each panel's got to have that right amount of action, right amount of, exposition to keep the story moving without it getting too static or too confusing.
Yeah. You got to have that trust in your artist too, right?
Mm-hmm.
That they're, that's always something you're like, oh, I can write it, but oh man, I just don't know if Kevin's going to be able to pull it off. And then hopefully he does, right?
Yeah. The way I always say it is for a comic book, the writer is the director and the artist is the director of photography.
Yeah.
They're going to give you the right angle. They're going to put the people in the position that you want them in to, give you, the story that you're trying to put right there.
How much freedom do you have in his scripts, Kevin? Is it a very tight script or like, first of all, is it plot first or is it I'm assuming it's probably a full script since you got a screenwriting background, right, Stephan?
Yeah. I try to give my artists as much, because again, I'm not an artist. Mm-hmm. And, I want, like, I'm not Alan Moore by any way. I'm not like 3 pages of, this person sits here and moves his coffee 2 inches. And, I don't want to ever, force my artist to have to do everything I put on the page. I want the artist I'm working with to come and go, hey, this is really cool, but what if we broke this panel up into 2 panels and did this? I'm like, if it works and it looks cooler, by all means, knock it out. Let's do it. I don't, control with an iron fist on my script. I always want to hear other people's input. Because again, I'm not an artist. I may see something completely different and it's boring that way.
Yeah.
Again, I don't have 2 people talking. Right. Figures. Yeah.
Kevin, do you like that freedom, or do you want more someone that has more like, I want exactly this, or do you like being able to like influence the story and the pacing and stuff? How did you feel this process?
I mean, I do like the freedom and able to talk to Stephan, of course, and walk through some of the scenes if I have any questions about anything. But if I had, I think it was he gave me just enough information that I needed to play with it, and like you said, I kind of push the emotion as much as possible, and try to be as cinematic as possible. And that's what I always try to shoot for as well, is to make it feel like a movie, on paper. And and so I felt like, it wasn't so rigid, which is great, and he gave me the freedom to, to combine panels or give me the full page spread but it was I felt like it was a good script that I was able to kind of have the freedom. There was, like he said, he wasn't like a dictator or anything like that. So.
Yeah, and one of the best visuals in the book is pure Kevin. The double page spread, because that is a weakness of mine. I never think about how cool double page spreads are. Oh yeah. And so I had that fight scene broken up in just like a big, splash page, and then the next page had more sequence type stuff. And Kevin brought to me on that, like, oh, what if we went double page? And he kind of laid it out, and I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna go double page on that.
Yeah, I went a little nuts. I'm like, because in my own mind, I'm like, well, if they're out there, then this guy's got to be doing this and fighting. What are they fighting? I mean, not that there wasn't details in there, but you had that play to kind of create the scene, and I was able to kind of put as much and just push the drama and and affect as much as possible. And because even in my head, I have to come up with little, stories behind the stories of what are these. A little bit. Each character you have to draw. You have to kind of come up with a little personality to them. And especially when I was revamping that double page spread, I was like, again, 15 years later, I'm like, or so when I drew the first pages, I'm like, hey, I got space. I can really push, more figures in. And as Stephan knows, I mean, I added more characters than even was in the original double page spread. Just to really just to knock you in the face with just awesomeness as much as possible.
Yeah, you can't underestimate the power of the double page spread for a reader too. When you hit the right moment and you flip it open and it's just bam right there.
Yeah.
It's definitely an overused thing at times, especially in the mainstream big two. But when it's used to maximum effect, it works so well. And that double page spread is fire.
Yeah, I mean it's technically an establishing shot.
Yeah.
And to use that much action in an establishing shot and have it work the way it does, it's like, because the next page when you actually see Hannibal for the first time, you know exactly what he's about now, because he's just got the Colosseum or the Forum just going mad with fighters and people just taking each other out.
Absolutely, that was one of the first scenes that you really see what's going on in the world. It's like, because at the first scene it was about the main character and kind of his situation, and you got a little bit of a scene of behind him that things are off. But when you're put in like this melee do or die fight for your life of living versus kind of the infected version, it's you really get a sense of the chaos and the crazy anarchy that's going on in this world, and it's not the same, and that does really much establish the feel of the world that's around right now before you get to, of course, the main character Hannibal, and that he is in charge of the situation.
So I know Kevin's reworking some of the art and remastering it, adding a lot more detail to it and a lot more technique. Have you done anything to the script, Stephan? Have you changed some lines of dialogue, added any scenes in, anything like that?
Yes, I did go back through the script and painfully read how I wrote 15 years ago. So yeah, we're tweaking some dialogue, cleaning it up. There's a couple lines that felt dated for when we originally did this. So to Charles, disappointment, there's going to be a little more lettering to do, but yeah. So yeah, we've cleaned up the script a little bit, like I said, and tried to keep it from feeling dated. So nice. Yeah, you'll read different.
Nice. How much have you enjoyed this process, Kevin, of going back and revisiting your old school stuff and tweaking it and just being able to reflect on how much you've grown as an artist?
I'm loving it. I mean, I've wanted to do it for a little while, but I think, again, things happen when they're supposed to happen. And so now that, again, I'm doing things digitally, a lot of stuff digitally, I go back and forth. But it's great to take your older work and again, and you thought it was all right at the time, you thought it was good, but now you can just take it to that next level. And it makes your old work, as contemporary with your new work. And it kind of breathes new life into this stuff. And it really was great to kind of, just again play with the abilities of this digital stuff to push it, and I'm really enjoying it, and I mean I'm almost reworking the whole thing, as you can tell, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and with the remaster and the special edition kind of nature to it, you're actually making it more brutal, more bloody, more visceral, more raw. You're not like having, Greedo shoot first or putting like walkie-talkies in the hands of the government agents after the alien or anything like that, right? Like this is going to be the ultimate version of this. It's not like any kind of like, oh, we're just like redoing some things or whatever. It looks absolutely fantastic. I'm excited.
Yeah, the red and being able to, again, make things pop out and just to show how, I mean, that's how most, horror books are or whatever. You can really push that kind of, gore or violence, and that's needed in these dark kind of storylines, and to make it more real and intense, and that was the point of it, is I wanted to scare you and to make it uncomfortable.
Heck yeah. All right. Stephan, what do you think about this whole process? Are you enjoying seeing Kevin's new work come in based on the old work? Is it reinvigorating you? Like, is it making you excited?
Yeah, the hardest part is the anticipation. Like, today Kevin did a big photo dump. He like took pictures of a bunch of new. I was like, so I'm about to post that up on Kickstarter, all the new pages that he took pictures of.
Yeah.
And it's just, every time I get to see him, I'm like, okay, I'm so ready to write that next, finish out the next chapter with Chris and Craig and get this, next one done. Yeah. And seeing where it was and where it is now. It's like, okay, it's nice. It's seeing a kid grow up and be something. So, I'm
absolutely
continue this.
So I know you probably already had your idea obviously set up for the next one, but obviously the last 15 years or so, I'm sure the world has changed, the industry has changed. You have changed. Has it changed the direction of where you want to take this story into the future?
Well, that's the nice thing about it being an apocalyptic type story is I can control what exists and what doesn't. Because that's always the biggest thing when things I write is like, okay, how can today's technology destroy my story? I got to work around cell phones. I got to work around 24-hour cable television. Got to work around internet instant access. Here, I don't have to worry about any of that. And the whole point of this story is isolation, and that isolation is getting destroyed. I don't want to give away too much on what happens, but so the second chapter, it's the second chapter of a story. Things are dark and dreary for our heroes. Things are getting a lot worse for them because Hannibal ends up succeeding some of the way. Again, not giving away anything.
Yeah.
But so the second chapter, like I said, on this is going to be interesting because our characters are divided. They're not all in the same spot, but everyone's still isolated. So now, and of course we don't have, the ways we can communicate now. So no one, has a way to find out, are they okay? They just have to assume that either the worst has happened or they're going to rendezvous back up or, that person's out of their life at this moment.
Nice.
Yeah.
That theme of isolation, is that the only subtext that's going on in this story? Is there more underneath the surface?
There's another one, but again, I don't want to give it away, but it has to do more on the cause and effect of the actual infection.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, because it's like I said, it is an infection. But because it hit so quick, there was no way to trace it back to its source. So we've got certain groups thinking it's something that came from space because the first case was marked on a day of a meteor shower, and then of course you've got other groups thinking that it was engineered, with the intent of calling the population. So you've got different theories out there that no one really knows.
That sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I said. That's why Charles is leaning so hard. I mean, we got to put this out because there's a lot going on that kind of resonates with what actually is happening right now.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. So and honestly, I don't know if I'm going to resolve that one or not because I like the fact that like I know the source, but I may never put it in the book. Because I like the fact that these people are dealing with what they're dealing with and don't necessarily know the origin of it, but they're just dealing with what they have to deal with. I mean, we don't need to be too clean and easy.
The point of the story is not necessarily how it happened or why it happened, but what happens because it happened. Look at the Romero Dead movies. He hardly ever. There's so many different ways. In the first one they explain there's this like probe from Venus or whatever, but we know that that's not the real thing.
Yeah.
But then I love it in Day of the Dead when dude's talking about like, no, this is because, we acted out too much and this is our punishment and all these different interpretations on why this is happening. And everybody that survives through something, their interpretation has a lot to do with whether or not they survive successfully or whether or not they kind of get swallowed up by it. Right. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think that's cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Kevin.
Yes.
This is the original version that I have right here. And I just
That
want to
is
show
it.
everybody that that's when Kevin signed it for me on my birthday in 2012
Yeah.
with that nice original. I found out this is a one-of-a-kind copy. So this is going on eBay tonight. We're going to start the bids at 500. Just kidding. Just kidding. We do have Robbie Bateman popped up. And what's up, everybody? Please feel free to throw out any questions you have. Robbie says, what's up? I will pledge to the Kickstarter. Missed out on the first release, but can't wait for the remaster. Huge fan of Kevin's art. Kevin's a very underrated artist. I would agree with all that. I will also tell you this, Robbie. I think we still have a copy or two of this at the Deep. So a piece of history. Yeah. Maybe you can get the second only ever copy signed by Kevin Stokes, and maybe you can get an image in there as well. Coffee Girl Espresso Guy does say, as a writer, do you get to choose your own artist, or how does that process work?
Well, in creator-owned books, I mean, yeah, because you get to meet the artist and find the one you want to work with, and that has the same type of passion for the project, hopefully, that you do. Working for DC, most of the time it's the only time I got to suggest an artist was on one of the Smallville animations. But yeah, other than that, I was always assigned the artist for the book.
That's how it works. And Kevin, you rarely get to choose your writer when you're doing work for hire, right?
Yeah, usually depends on who you talk with and has a little bit of a budget. I mean, and if the story's good, then I'm interested. I've turned down stuff just as quick as I've taken stuff on. So I have to be very passionate about what it is for me to do it. Otherwise, it's like pulling teeth. So I have to be very excited about it, and I was excited about this one. And so it's a joy to get back on it.
Heck yeah. Stephan, do you listen to music when you write?
I do, and I probably shouldn't, but I do, because I'll find myself going down a rabbit hole when I hear a new song that I like, and I start looking up an artist. What I usually do is actually I'll put on a TV series that I'm well familiar with, so I don't have to watch it. I can just kind of listen. So it's something that like this week, it's been a rerun of Community and Rick and Morty.
Nice.
Yeah. So things I don't have to, and plus, if I need to be in a mood of some type, I'll try to pick a genre. Because last week I went through Briscoe County Jr., one of my favorite TV shows of all time.
Beautiful.
Yep. So I would say more when I'm writing a TV show type thing, more than music. Yeah, because music will distract me much quicker than a TV show that I've seen before that I can ignore, but need that background noise.
Yeah. What about you, Kevin? You listen to music when you draw? You watch TV? What do you do?
Mostly I listen to, there's a lot of times where I'll throw things in the background just to watch visually, just so I can look up and go, oh, that's cool, and then get back to work. Like last time I'm always pumped up. The Batman Beyond Return of the Joker was one of the ones I always put on.
Love that.
Conan and, the 80s Conan one. And, the Bruce Timm, Justice League, Paul Dini stuff. There's so much good stuff out there that visually, that pumps me up. But I admit, I like to listen to a lot of interviews, and I like to listen to a lot of podcasts and radio talk about. And on occasion I'll listen to music, but most of the time I admit I'm digging in the rabbit hole of why are we here? and so I listen to all kinds of stuff from in and out of the rabbit hole to kind of get me motivated, and so I can kind of learn and keep an eye on what's going on as I create and work. So it's a combination of, and then sometimes you want to just shut that stuff off, just all the craziness of the world, and just put on something fun and listen to some good dialogue and some good movies.
And sometimes you just got to unplug, Kevin, put on some Pink Floyd and stare at the stars and see what you see.
Yes. Give me The Wall anytime.
Oh, hell yeah, man. The Wall? Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah. Give me The Wall and Dark Side, all that stuff. I'm a Floyd fan.
I figured you were, Kevin. We've never really talked too much about music, Kevin, but I always kind of figured you for a Pink Floyd fan.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think Kevin and I have talked about music either. You know, I assumed that you were a classic rock guy, but I wasn't sure.
You are correct, sir. You know,
there's
some good stuff.
Just from the t-shirts.
Yes. Well, of course, this is Spider-Man, but you get thrown. Of course, the newer stuff of Audio Slave and Volbeat is a new one I like now.
Oh, Volbeat's awesome.
Yes.
I love how you called Audio Slave newer stuff.
I know. Exactly.
Yeah.
That tells you my mindset. Yeah, I know.
No, I'm right there with you, man. I still think 1990 was 10 years ago, man.
I know. Did you check out that new band called Pearl Jam?
Yeah, I think they're going to be big.
Exactly.
Heck yeah. Stephan, why don't you tell everybody what's that?
I just think very much a rock guy. I'm very much a rock guy.
Oh, dude, you got to hear the new. You'd really like one of the last Cypress Hill albums. It's kind of like psychedelic hip hop. It's really good. It's called Elephants on Acid. I think you would really like that, Kevin. I think you'd really like that. It's very surreal. I think you would
Elephants
like that.
on Acid. I'm having a trip. I'm having a flashback of the Dumbo sequence when you say that.
Right? No kidding. That's probably what they're thinking of too. It's probably the
that freaked me out when I was a kid.
Yeah, the new Tim Burton one just didn't handle that scene very well. Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to see that yet. No, I'll have to check.
It's probably better just not to.
Tim Burton did the remake?
Yeah, he did. It even had Michael Keaton and Danny DeVito in it.
Wow, I did not know that.
Colin Farrell. Yeah. We didn't give it a very good review on the channel, but maybe some people like it. I don't know. Stephan, why don't you roll down real quick about the Kickstarter and what you can possibly get by backing this project?
Well, our undying love for starters, but we're just trying to keep it simple. There's a book and there's two different covers. Kevin did an awesome black and white with a little bit of red splash and then a full color cover. So there's two different tiers for that. And then of course you can actually get both of those if you want to do the higher. We did have a exclusive cover with Mike Ruth. That was a retailer only with Big Country Comics was the store that bought in on that. Thanks to them. So if you want the Mike, there are a couple they gave us 25 copies of that book to give away as well, or not give away, but make as a reward tier. So those are on there as well. Kevin is doing a sketch on the inside of the books. We're going to leave the front interior cover blank white so he can do sketches in there. There's that option. And we're posting this tonight, but everyone can hear will know early. For all pledges of physical copies, we're giving away a color print of Mike Ruth's cover and Kevin's color cover.
Yes. I love more bonuses. That's always great. It's always great.
Yeah.
It's an exciting page. You can see they got a trailer up there. They got the artwork. It looks fan-frickin-tastic, y'all. It really does. And I'm super pumped for this, man. Yeah, so Kevin, you're going to be doing sketches on some of them at certain tiers, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You ready for that, buddy? You're going to get a hand cramp.
Yeah, it's fine. I can draw zombie heads all day. Infected zombie. So it's going to be fun. I'm excited to see it come together again. So sure, and anything to keep it going.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. All right. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about as far as Extinction goes before, just something else comes up on its own?
I think we've kind of beaten everybody over the head with it enough.
Yes. If you guys really want to support PCP, support my homies, Kevin and Stephan, because they are making a really cool book. And this stuff right here, this was solid. I like this. But y'all, what's coming? Y'all ain't seen nothing yet. Promise you. I love the texture that's involved in the new stuff. Kevin's added so much texture to it. I love it. I like this book, but it's very stark and clean, And by the way, y'all, that dude right there, that's the one they keep mentioning. That dude right there.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun to draw. And like I said, he's kind of like my undead Joker, and I just have a blast drawing him. And I just push the drama and the limits with that guy.
Heck yeah.
And it's funny because the way he's drawing him is kind of like, very Joker-like with the body language and everything. But when I was writing him, he was actually my bane.
Wow!
Yeah, because I was writing with like the whole because his background, he actually was a history professor at University of Illinois before he got infected and started getting delusion. And so he gives he gives a couple of lofty speeches before he just destroys the people he's talking to, and but I wanted him to come off as the more intelligent villain that not just Rampage, but like I said, it was mixed between the dialogue and the body language is just so good with him. Yeah, Hannibal's a favorite of mine now.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
You're gonna have to give him his own spin-off one shot. That's what you're gonna have to do.
Yeah. Do the origin story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do the origin.
Y'all really check out the Kickstarter. It's got like 6 days left. I got a link down in the comment or in the description below, so definitely check that out. Kevin is an amazing friend of mine and a great artist. Stephan is a new amazing friend of mine, and I think he's a pretty solid writer, and I like his ideas, and I like the way he thinks. So now, since we've never really all talked about music together, if you were stuck on an island and you just so happen to have a CD player with 5 CDs, right? No vinyl, but just CDs. If you could pick 5 albums, your desert island albums, what would they be? Start off, Kevin.
Right off the bat, I would say my favorite band in the world still is Guns N' Roses. So I would get Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. I would probably get Again the Wall from Floyd. I think it's Out of Exile with Audio Slave. I'm not sure, but there's a few of them.
New fresh album from that new hip band.
Exactly. Yeah, he's got some new stuff coming out sometime. I'm not sure. I mean, probably Volbeat at this point. There's a lot of good stuff. But those are my top. Those are my 5 at the moment.
Hell yeah! What about you, Stephan?
Am I on the island by myself, so I don't have to worry about annoying people with my music?
Sure. Yes.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure. I'm trying to be trying to be considerate here. I'd probably have to go with They May Be Giants, Lincoln.
Oh, nice.
Transplants. Not sure which album though.
I go first, but that's a good one. Transplants. I wasn't expecting that. That's good.
Let's see. Got to go with President of the United States of America.
Ooh, the first one?
Yeah.
That's such a good album, man.
Which actually
underrated.
And if we're going on Kickstarter, I got to show. I did actually go to the Kickstarter when they put it on vinyl. So got to get that frame. Yeah. Well, that's 3, right? Let's see. Rob Zombie.
Okay.
And let's see. I would probably have to mellow it out a little bit, go with the original Star Wars soundtrack.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice. Much respect for that. For me, if I had to, let's see, definitely Maybe by Oasis. I might pick, I'd have to pick a Clash album. I'd probably pick Sandinista so I have more songs, but maybe London Calling would be the better choice.
Do a greatest hits. Yeah, get all that.
Yeah, just get the singles. Singles Go Steady or whatever it is, or maybe that's the Buzzcocks. That'd be a good one to take too. I wouldn't want to take anything that would make me like sad and sappy and missing people, though. You know what I'm saying? So, definitely Maybe by Oasis. I'd go London Calling, The Cure. Not The Cure, The Clash. But from The Cure, I would pick Japanese Whispers.
Wait. You didn't want anything to make you sad, and you just said The Cure.
Yeah, but that one album, like I love The Cure, but Japanese Whispers to me is just, yeah, you're probably right. Maybe, nah, I'm doing it anyway. I don't care. Dr. Dre, Nothing But a G Thing. Not The Chronic. I'm sorry. I know that's not the name of the album. Mm-hmm. And then, if I had one more, I don't know, maybe like a Jerky Boys CD or something to laugh.
Just your entertainment value.
Yeah. There we go.
I just wanted to throw a random one out there. I'd probably go an Adam Sandler one before that, you know.
Sure.
They're all going to laugh.
Yeah. I still remember that Adam Sandler, The Lonesome Kicker and all that stuff. I forgot which
Lonesome Kicker. That's such a great song, man.
It's good stuff.
And then there's the Lunch Lady song, of course, the Hanukkah song. I used to be such a big fan of those Adam Sandler albums when I was like in middle school, especially. Like I thought they were the funniest things. And like during the shutdown when we were doing curbside only at the shop, Steph and I work at a comic shop. I don't know if you figured that out.
Yeah.
But we were shut down for a couple months doing curbside only, and so we were just able. We were like, hell, we can play whatever we want to. So we were listening to NWA one day. We were listening to like hardcore punk the next day. I might throw in a Bad Brains song, but what are you going to be really? If you throw in a Bad Brains album for your desert island, who are you going to rage against? You know what I'm saying? Like you're like, the injustice of this island. But
damn these coconuts.
Yeah, right. But we were listening.
They're driving me nuts.
The Adam Sandler shit from back in the day with all the skits. There would only be like a handful of songs, but they'd be mostly skits. And we were listening to them. I'm like, man, I don't know if they could do this today. There's some crazy shit in there. Like Conan O'Brien's in it and shit. I really like that stuff. This stuff's fun. Were you guys into the Jerky Boys at all? Did you ever prank call people back in the day? I used to do that all the time.
Nah, I think I'm the old man in the room here, so I think that was, I was past that when it finally kind of peaked.
Okay.
Yeah, I never really pranked people, but I did. Was it Crank Yankers or whatever? It was like a puppet show where they would call people.
Comedy.
Yeah, that worked.
Love that.
Involved. Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Involved, I'm there.
Absolutely.
Back in high school, we used to do we called it a radio show, but it would be me and my homies, pretty much what we do at PCP, but we would do it and we would record it on tapes and we'd pass it around the school. And we used to prank call, like gas stations was our favorite thing. We'd prank call gas stations, just ask them for random shit or get them to say. And we actually had this one dude we were pranking for like weeks on end, and he would stay on the line for like 20 minutes. And then one day we called him and he had been fired. And it was really sad. I don't know why I brought that up, but I haven't thought about that in a while. Damn. All right, Kevin. Here's something that some people may be watching want to know. Kevin, of course, was the person that was with me when I was explaining my strange sighting in the sky. That was Kevin with me. So if Kevin doesn't mind, would you care to back me up on this freaking story? Because I just don't feel like people are going to believe us because it seems so insignificant. Stephan, have you heard this story?
No, this is new.
Okay. And if you know Kevin's into UFOs.
Yes, I do know that.
I'm sure
I am a proud conspiracy theorist. Theorist.
Yeah.
No, I have got no problem saying that. But yes, I will back you up because it was my first experience as well, actually seeing something in the sky that actually, like, as soon as you start focusing on it, it disappears right in front of your eyes. And so more than once, and no clouds, nothing was in the way. I thought it was maybe a trick of the light, went around different scene, the building to try to see it, and we both saw it at the same time. So I know you're not crazy.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
It's real.
We were outside of a studio and we were looking up. We were looking at these bats. There are all these bats that are outside of the low mill, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, Kevin, doesn't it look like that star's moving? And it was just looked like a star. It wasn't even a star. It looked like a planet because we even pointed out that Jupiter was back, towards the east. And I was like, it was like that bright. It's like Jupiter, Venus bright. But Venus had already said it's 10:30 at night. I looked, Kevin can attest to this. I pulled out my phone and I looked at where all the satellites were and all this kind of stuff, right? And so we see it and it's just moving across steady as hell. And then it just goes and it's gone.
Huh.
And we're like, that's weird. That could be anything. So then we walk out of this light because there's a bright light shining on us. We're like, maybe it's like a plane or something that went behind a cloud. So we go away from this light and now we can see that there are clouds in the sky towards the north, but we're looking out west. There's no clouds. And now we're starting to see the stars because we're away from that bright light. And as we're out there, it comes back.
Oh.
It goes a little bit further. And I'm like, it's back. Kevin's like, it is back. And then it just, again.
Yep.
And we stayed out there for what? 30, 40 minutes and it never came back to that point.
Yeah, because my thought was like, if there was something in front of it that was obscuring it, that it would at least, like if it was some kind of cloud we couldn't see or something that, the brightness would have at least faded or something, it just never came back at all, and so, and I don't know what it was, but I definitely will say I've never seen anything like that before.
Yeah, me neither.
Well, just by definition, it is a UFO. It's unidentified.
That is true. It is unidentified.
Yep. What do they call it now? Like unidentified aerial phenomena or something like that?
No, that just doesn't roll off the tongue as well.
Yeah. And that's yeah. Of course, they also have the USOs, I think, was like unidentified submergible objects, where it like comes out from the ocean. Several people have witnessed that they have seen, ships and vehicles come out of the water, that there may be some underwater.
Okay, that one's a new one to me. I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah, you can listen to a lot of people and sailors that have been on there that will tell you that they have seen some things come out of the ocean.
Huh.
Yeah, that shit's Cthulhu, man. That's Cthulhu shit right there. I'm telling you. I'd stay away.
There's a lot of stuff. Like I said, I am a conspiracy. I've heard a lot of stuff and seen people that are what I would consider pretty credible.
Stephan, you ever had a strange experience, like lights in the sky, or maybe a ghost, or anything like that?
Not me personally, but apparently, like growing up, because I was born in Okinawa, and my mother to this day swears that our house was haunted by a dead soldier, because she said she would come in and see the figure standing at the edge of the crib, and it would just stay there because the cat would freak out, and she'd know that me personally, I've never, I'm too boring. Anything like that's not going to come see me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, me and Kevin have spent our whole lives being in this kind of shit, and it took till God, I don't want to mention how old we all are, but it took a while for us to see our first experience. I'm glad it happened with you, Kevin. I'm glad it happened with my conspiracy theory UFO buddy.
Absolutely, man. I've never seen anything like it. It was my first experience as well.
Yeah. And it just was like a bright light, and it looked like it was in the sky. Like it looked to me like at first I thought we were looking at like a plane or a planet. Then it was moving. And the way it would almost, and Kevin can attest to this, it was almost like once we both noticed it fully, it would go away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the only thing I've had that actually was similar to that, but it actually was a natural phenomenon, is by pure luck, I actually saw a supernova go out.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's intense.
Cool.
It's just a late evening walk with my dog, and just kind of meandering around looking at the sky, and all of a sudden I saw like that spot of the sky was gone. It's dark.
Wow.
So I immediately looked it up, and they had it marked already that supernova.
Wow.
So I was like, that was awesome to see, but I would have known it was going to happen. I would have filmed it.
Wouldn't you like to have seen like one of the big, bright super explosions, actually happen? Like a few months ago, they were talking about how Betelgeuse was like dimming a little bit, and that maybe
what was dimming?
Betelgeuse, the star in the Orion constellation.
You're breaking up. What did you say?
Are you trying to get me to say?
Oh, you almost said it. You almost did it.
I'm smart at that.
Oh, great.
My mom used to terrify the hell out of me with Bloody Mary stories, and so like, I don't play around with that. I don't play around with that, man.
See, it worked perfectly because I actually saw that episode of Community, or heard that episode of Community today.
Nice.
The third Halloween episode where they say Beetlejuice and you walk by in the background.
Oh man,
that's
Community is such a great show. Kevin, you ever watched that one?
Or Beetlejuice? Yeah.
No, Community.
Oh no, I haven't seen that. I haven't checked that out.
So
You
good.
gotta watch that show.
But I mean,
It's called Community.
yeah,
So
the fact that they planned a joke that took 3 seasons to happen is just a thing of beauty.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, because they have.
I heard there was rumors that they're going to do a sequel to Beetlejuice, but I'll believe it when I see it.
I hope they don't. Don't.
Yeah.
There's some movies that just don't require a sequel. They're just too good.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
Beetlejuice is one of my favorite movies, and they did a cartoon, already.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Sometimes the sequel has passed. Like, do we want to see Michael Keaton in makeup as Beetlejuice today? Like, it wouldn't be the same.
No.
I'm not against it, but I'm good either way.
Michael Keaton can do pretty much anything, but yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah, because all the other characters have outgrown it, and yeah, it's just in that type of camp that movie had that made it so good. I just don't think it would, do as well. Because Dark Shadows. Did you ever see that movie version of it?
No,
not the new one.
Right?
I love Dark Shadows. The whole soap opera and everything.
Yeah.
And everyone panned that movie, and it took a while for me to get to actually around to seeing it. And I watched it Halloween 2 years ago, just for like a Halloween marathon. It's freaking great.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm guessing because it wasn't this like a straight up redo of the melodrama, but it's a 2-hour soap opera. I mean, they do the over the top, and Johnny Depp is actually really good as Barossa. I mean, yeah, it's in my regular rotation for Halloween now. It's so good. So there are some things that just don't need to be redone or sequeled.
I remember when I first heard about Dark Shadows, I was like, "Oh, I got to check this shit out." And then it came out on DVD, so I got the first season and I watched it. And I really liked it. I was like, the idea that it's a soap opera, but it's about like vampires and shit, right? And I was like, that's super cool. And then they came out with the second season. I was like, that's cool. And then I found out how many seasons there were, and I was like, okay, I'm done. I was like, I'm not gonna like invest all this money on this shit. That was back when a DVD full season was like $80.
Yeah. Well,
that's a lot to invest.
If you have Hulu, you can watch all Dark Shadows right now.
Nice. I do have Hulu.
Because it's another one that I've been burning through. But that one I actually have to watch, so I haven't been running that in the background. That's my evening sit down for, all right.
I agree. That's one of the problems. I mean, there's so much good stuff out there, and it's just like, but to really pay attention, I mean, you got to sit down and watch it, and so many seasons of so much good stuff. It's hard. That's why movies I can take on a little bit quicker, because I'm like, okay, hour and a half, 2 hours, you're done, move on. But man, when there's, seasons after seasons, it's hard to, put that time in. But I know it's worth it when it is. But man, it's so much to keep. There's so much good stuff out.
Yeah, it's hard to make the time for it, Kevin, especially when you're spending hours a day listening to conspiracy theory podcasts. Right?
Yeah, and if I throw something in I haven't seen and I'm drawing, then I'll end up just watching it. Or you can slightly pay attention. I end up blocking it out. Even audio. It's like it all turns to like the Charlie Brown teacher talking, because I'm so focused. That it's not till like 10-15 minutes in and I'm like, oh, okay, what? I got to rewind it and watch it. Or podcasts or interviews and ex-military people and their stories, that stuff you can kind of just listen. You don't have to get caught up in audio. It's just a guy talking in a chair or talking to a couple different people, and so you can just kind of listen as you work. But when it's visually intense, or it's hard for me to pay attention to it unless I've seen it before. Then I can kind of just put it in the background, but it'll distract me too much if I'm working.
You really do need to watch Community, though.
Yes.
Like 100%. Like, you need to watch it. You'll love it. It's great. It's Dan Harmon. Have you ever watched Rick and Morty?
I have recently. I mean, it's like I haven't seen it all, and it had been out for a little while before I noticed. It was when I was late one night up, and I was hooked after the Pickle Rick episode. When I saw it, I was like, oh my God, this is so hilarious that I've got to find out what's going on with that. And I have gone back to watch like the first season. I still haven't watched it all, but I want to really. That one is on my list to catch up with because it's so hilarious.
Rick and Morty is probably my favorite ongoing sci-fi show right now. I think it's just brilliant. And Community is also created by Dan Harmon, who he co-created Rick and Morty with Justin Roiland. But even Community has like these crazy weird sci-fi concepts at times, like the Darkest Timeline episode, probably my favorite one, period. They Kevin, they just keep rolling dice and they're like, what if, and it's like, they're rolling dice to see who, like, I don't even remember what it's for, but
who answers the door to pay for the pizza.
Who answers the door to pay for the pizza. And it gives you the alternate reality on each die roll. And it's so freaking funny, dude.
Well, not to advertise for another podcast or anything, but are you listening to the Darkest Timeline podcast?
No, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, You know what I mean? Just the name they picked, but they basically pull in everybody and just start talking to them. But it's pretty funny. It's Ken Jeong and Joe McHale. So
yeah,
riffing with each other for.
It's called The Darkest Time.
The Darkest Timeline.
You can plug anything on this show with Joe McHale in it. That's fine. This dude is super cool. He actually came to Huntsville a year or two ago, and I didn't get to see him. But my buddy Mike did, and here's Mike. Mike, Kevin, you know Mike. This is the Mike from the Deep. He says, late to the party, but had to think about it. 5 albums, Radiohead Kid A and Amnesiac, Deftones Diamond Eyes, Homework by Anchor Thieves, and Breakfast with Girls by Self. Those are great picks.
I'm down for all of them, but the Radiohead one.
You're not a Radiohead fan?
No, I would absolutely just have to walk into the ocean and call it quits after those albums.
I like some Radiohead. I've got a couple albums of theirs, or I've had a couple albums of theirs.
Me and Mike are big Radiohead fans. We actually got to see them a couple years ago. It was kind of like a bucket list concert where we were literally on the back row. And they were just like these tiny little ants, but it was still like one of the most exhilarating concert experiences of my life. The only thing is, I don't know if I would want to have a Radiohead album alone on a desert island if I ain't got some good weed or something. Like, I don't know what's on this island. I'm just going to listen to Radiohead straight edge. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Damn. Mike's like, that's how I listen to it. Well, you're better than Mike.
Yeah. Definitely got to be in the right mood for that one.
By the way, if anybody is wondering, Kevin did smear Vaseline on his lens.
He's going for the Barbara Walters look.
Yep, he sure is.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happens. Like I said, I was using my old computer at first, and the picture was much more clear, but the audio sucked. And now I'm using my brand new expensive computer, and the audio is great, but the picture sucks. So, but yeah, I'm still in a haze. That's what it is.
I think this picture is better. I know that you got the Vaseline thing going on, but to me, it's stylized. I would be like, I did this on purpose. I lit this. I'm an artist. I know what I'm doing.
Exactly.
I didn't to look stark and just super HD or nothing. I think it looks great. It looks almost like Kevin's in a dream sequence.
That's exactly what I was about to say. It's like a dream sequence.
That's what you're going for, right?
Exactly.
We need to get the whoosh effect thing going on.
Exactly.
This book is about infected humans, not necessarily zombies, but
zombie adjacent. We'll go with zombie adjacent.
Zombie adjacent. Much like 28 Days Later is zombie adjacent, maybe not technically zombies, right?
Yeah. So
here's just popped in my head. What's some of your favorite zombie or zombie adjacent fiction, Stephan?
None.
None. You don't like it at all?
I shouldn't say it. I do like 28 Days Later.
Okay.
I'm just not. I find zombies absolutely boring.
Are you a horror fan?
Oh yeah, I love horror. Like, I mean, I have Shudder going all the time. Yeah, I love werewolves, love Frankenstein's monster. Give me Creature of the Black Lagoon. Give me, what I don't, I'm gonna get all purist on it now. Normal, like most horror now, kind of bores me as well because it relies too much on gore, not horror. Like, I want to like see, the dark shit that people are gonna do, when they're desperate. That shows me horror, not a Freddy Krueger. Like, and I shouldn't go Freddy Krueger because I like Freddy Krueger, but not the hack slash type movies. They don't do anything for me. Like, the less I see of the evil that's causing people, to have a bad day, the more I enjoy it. So like zombie movies in general, just like original Night of the Living Dead, it's a classic because it was the first. But after that, they just go downhill so fast for me because any creature that I can get away from by just speed walking, and not doing something stupid. Because any zombie movie out there, the only reason the zombies ever get the upper hand is someone does something stupid.
See, but I think that's real. I feel like I would do
point. I mean, if it's the apocalypse and my survival depends on you not being stupid, I will take you out before you get a chance to be stupid.
Right. Yeah, you should.
I mean, it's just that because I'm sure this is gonna be blasphemy with a lot of the group. The Walking Dead to me, like I couldn't stop screaming at the television how stupid that show was by the second episode.
Oh, dude, you're cool with me.
Okay. All right. So because I watch every comic book movie, every comic book TV show just to kind of give the ratings, give a little bit of money, give a little bit of love because it's the community, right? So I watched that first episode. I was like, okay, I'm into it. I can see what's going on. It's good. Second episode, I was just out of it after he meets Glenn and the rest of the group, and they finally do something smart. They cover them. One of the things I always said, like cover because zombies have to track you by smell. Basically, it's the only thing they can do. So they cover themselves with gore, which great camouflage for zombies. And they slowly meander down to, I think they're going to the tank. I forget what they're going to at the time. But then a mid-afternoon Georgia rainburst happens, and that apparently washes off just enough gore that they can be traced again.
Yeah,
I call total BS because anybody who's ever smelt somebody who's been working in the yard all day that gets caught in a rainstorm, you're not daisy fresh. Right. I mean, you're still rough smelling. There's it's just and the fact that that's the only reason that plan failed, and they never went back and did that again. I was like, obviously it worked except for the stupid rainstorm. So next time walk with an umbrella. You're good to go. So I was just again, it was lazy plot point and human stupidity only ever got the zombies to ever get the upper hand.
They do eventually go into this thing where there's this group of people that actually skin zombies and wear their skins every day, all the time. And I thought that was an interesting concept.
Yeah,
I think The Walking Dead to me just it was kind of like the same story all the time. It's there's survivors, they come across another group, they're friendly at first, and then there's war, and then blah, blah, blah. And then they just kind of repeat that story. So I got a little bored with Walking Dead. One of my favorite, I'm a big Romero fan. Day of the Dead is probably my favorite zombie film
that's
of all time. I love that movie. But one of my least favorite movies of his is Land of the Dead. But I love the theme of that, where basically the rich and the elite have walled off, so the zombies are outside of their fence, right? And so now it's about ignoring the problem. And to me, that's something that makes more sense with zombies. It's not necessarily people being stupid or making mistakes or this, but it's basically, that is there, but it's that you get so used to something, you ignore that it's a problem. And then it kind of comes back at you. And that, I think Land of the Dead kind of thematically is more relevant now than it was back when it first came out, which Romero says he wrote it for a post 9/11 kind of world where we think this is a problem that's solved and it's not affecting us, so we're not worried about it, but it's literally right outside the gates.
Yeah.
They're flesh-eating monsters ready to just take out your whole civilization. And they're just holed up on this high rise or whatever like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's something Romero was doing. I like that he used those stories to tell social commentary and things like that. But I also picked up that you're an old school fan. You were talking about the Gill Man. You're talking about Frankenstein's monster and the Wolf Man. That's my favorite shit right there. The Universal horror stuff is my absolute favorite. What's your favorite out of those films?
Oh, Wolfman.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Right behind Creature of the Black Lagoon, but Wolfman, because werewolves are my favorite of all monsters.
Nice. There needs to be more werewolf fiction that's really good, right?
Agreed.
Have you written anything? You got any ideas?
Well, yeah, the Pound. The whole
the
whole concept of the Pound was the out of work animal control specialists. They got laid off. They go into private practice and discover Cleveland's lousy with werewolves. So they open up a rehab.
Cool.
Yeah.
What are some other great werewolf movies that you really like?
I'm a fan of the original Howling, of course, American Werewolf in London. The last Wolfman movie, while the story was garbage, I really liked the effects in it and the transformation.
Right? Amazing.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm just blanking on the name of it. Not Battle Dogs. Oh fuck, I've looked it up. But yeah, I mean, I watch all of them, good and bad. I even tried watching an Asylum werewolf movie recently, but it was just too bad. I couldn't do it. But that's more on Asylum than the actual actors or the werewolves in general. But even Cat People, I like that one. It's not really werewolves, but it's another lycanthrope type. And
I like cats as well.
Yeah.
Wade Weber. That's a good one.
Yeah.
They're scary as hell, man. When I was a kid, that scared the hell out of me, man.
Yeah. So I mean, pretty much again, another like my Voodoo account is just littered with werewolf movies and oh man, the Ginger Bites, love that one. So
Ginger Snaps.
Sorry, yeah. Sorry, that's a Ginger Bites, didn't I? Damn
People always mention that one as being an amazing werewolf film, and I've never watched
it. Don't bother with the sequel, but watch the first one.
Okay.
Oh, Underworld. Yeah, someone just put an Underworld on there. Yeah, the first one of that fucking kicks ass.
Underworld.
Yeah.
It's like somebody watched Matrix and The Blade in one night, and then came out. It's like, I got a new idea.
Yeah. And it worked so well.
Yeah.
What about you, Kevin? What are your favorite zombie adjacent fictions?
I'd say, I still remember as a kid. I haven't really seen a whole lot of zombie movies, but I remember as a kid one of the ones that freaked me out. I think it was maybe The Return of the Living Dead, where they're all in the cemetery or something, or they kick that. They're in that a bombing place, or they kick the can,
Crematorium, and that's The Return of the Living Dead with the Tar Man zombie who moves all like crazy.
Yeah. I remember that creeping me out when I was a kid. And like the half torso that they had tied up in the church. That just creeped me out when I was a kid.
Wasn't that one kind of a comedy though?
Yeah, I think I was about to say, like, Kevin, if you watch that now, you would laugh more than you would be scared.
Probably. I haven't seen it in so long. I probably would laugh. But I remember like all that, like the half.
I remember the torso guy. Yeah.
Bodies starting to move, but I have caught up on. Walking Dead. I admit it has moments of being pretty boring and pretty predictable, but I have seen some, and they got some pretty good effects. But and I've been watching the what was the spinoff that's just boring. It's unbelievable.
Fear the Walking Dead.
Yeah, that one. I'm like just put me to sleep. You pretty much can know where that one's going with. But I admit I just haven't seen too much zombie stuff to really talk about at the moment.
Well, the only zombie movie I will watch like on a regular basis, of course, is Shaun.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
I watch that back to back every day if I had to.
Yeah,
that's a good one. Yeah, that is good.
I remember having the game, The Rise of the Dead. That was fun, where you could kind of like just put random pieces of things together and go, hack up some zombies in the mall. That was fun. The I guess it was a PS3 game. But
if it came out after 1995, I probably never played it.
Gotcha.
But I love Ghosts and Goblins. That's a good one, man. So why not, right? David says his favorite zombie show is Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
That is pretty scary.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, I will agree with that one.
I'll agree with David here. The Dawn of the Dead remake was pretty good. I really like that one. The Zack Snyder one, yeah.
I don't think I saw that one.
That was pretty good. I like it. It's pretty fun. James Gunn was the writer of that one.
Oh.
It's got a nice energy to it, and it didn't remake Dawn of the Dead, but it is zombies and malls. But it's I thought they handled it really well. But that's just me. J Frog, I would say Year Zero is really good so far from Benjamin Percy, AWA. Okay. That's a really good one. In
is that a show?
I remember you talking about it, Robbie. Yeah, I remember you talking about it in your podcast.
Yeah. No, it's a comic book. It's really cool that Benjamin Percy's doing this thing where, because usually it's every zombie thing is about a group of survivors, right? Mm-hmm. This one is about the outbreak, and it focuses on like 4 or 5 different characters, and it's a global thing. So like it focuses on this woman in the Middle East. It focuses on this woman, or this dude in Japan who's like an assassin. Then there's this dude who's like a doomsday prepper in Minnesota. And then there's this kid down in Mexico, and it's all these different, and they're not going to like cross over anything. So you get this like global look from of this stuff happening in all these different people's lives. And it's really, really cool. And the coloring, there's a different color palette for each character in each scene, and it works so well.
Who's publishing that?
AWA Upshot.
Oh,
They're a relatively newer publisher, but everything they put out so far is pretty good. It's not superhero stuff. Everything there's like, if you like horror, there's one by John Lees called Hotel. It's gonna be 4 issues, and the first 2 issues of that are out, and it's pretty solid.
I got that. I got issue 1 of that one. I'll leave my opinion alone.
That's fine.
I was really, the book itself is good. Yes. I was just so annoyed and thrown off by the trade dress.
Okay.
Like, it took me forever to figure out what the hell the name of the title was.
Oh, I know.
And I even went to the boilerplate page to see what it was named, and it still wasn't clear. And I was like, what? So I couldn't even tell how to order this book if I wanted to.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, I've had people be like, I want that hell book. I want that hotel book. I want the hotel hell book.
I was guessing it was Hotel Hell, maybe, because they were playing with it. But yeah, I could not figure for the life of me what that book was called.
Yeah, that is a little off. Yeah, I get you there. John Lees also wrote this other book. It's like an anthology thing, because he's from Glasgow, I think, right? And so this one takes place there, and it's kind of a crime horror type thing, but it's an anthology that all kind of wraps up. 10 issues are out. It's called Sink. It is so freaking good. Sink. It is amazing. And the same writer does this one right now at IDW called Mountainhead, and it has 1 more issue left, and that one just blows me away. I love it so much. Love it. I have not seen Lady in White.
Not
at all.
Good place.
Sorry, David.
Yeah,
Mike says Sink is great. So yeah, there you go. So Kevin, do you like horror? Like, is it not your favorite?
It's not my favorite. I mean, I'll watch it at times, and then, it just depends on what's going on. I mean, even that extreme stuff like the Hostel stuff, I've seen a movie of that, and I'm just like, I mean, it's some pretty demented people out there, but it was just never my thing. I mean, I have my moments where I could watch maybe some Freddy Krueger or something as well, but I haven't really gotten into the horror too much, but I'm always open to good stuff, I mean, if it's suspenseful or if it's, it just depends on what it is, but I haven't gotten into it too much.
Yeah, there's enough horror in real life, right?
That's for sure.
I'm sorry.
This world's a madhouse as it is, man. I'm too busy trying to figure this stuff out.
Well, if you need a delightful distraction, one of the best movies out there, because it's the absolute worst movie out there, Velocipaster. Have you seen this yet?
I haven't seen it, but it sounds hilarious.
I heard about that. It sounds ridiculous.
So awesome. Like, I cannot explain how. Every Friday I have a group that we meet, and we pick a movie to watch and kind of discuss it and talk about it. And that was a movie that came across my Amazon Prime thread. I was like, oh, we got to watch this. It's about a priest that turns into a dinosaur. And I'm like, it's a lycanthrope. That's right up there for me. So
that's pretty hilarious.
At 91 seconds into this movie, it's the greatest, worst thing I've ever seen in cinema. It's awesome. Like, the priest steps out of the church. He sees his parents and this really bad wave, and then he waves, and then their parents are sitting in front of the car, and then they do another cut to where the parents were. The car's gone, they're gone, and all it says on screen is "Insert explosion SFX here" as an overlay.
Oh my goodness!
He's like, "Oh no!"
Nice.
Back and forth between him doing that and it's just fucking beautiful.
That's great.
Yeah,
I'm definitely watching that one now.
It's painful, but the payouts are awesome. Like, especially the big payout fight scene is just beautiful.
I've seen bits and pieces of this movie called Wolf Cop. Where it's like a werewolf, but he's a cop.
Yeah, I watched that. That's awesome.
I haven't seen it all the way through, but it was kind of fun.
Do yourself a favor, watch that one, because they're making a sequel.
Oh, really? Yeah. I'll have to check it out.
Of course they are.
Oh, Nightbreed, yeah.
I love Nightbreed.
Yeah, that's Clive. Is it?
Yeah, Clive Barker.
Clive Barker. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was cool too because it was like a new type of monsters. There wasn't leaning on all the old stuff and really went out and kind of created some new looks. And so that was my favorite thing about Nightbreed.
Yeah, I like Clive Barker. I'm a big fan of the Hellraiser series and Nightbreed, and I just love all that shit. So
I do remember seeing the Hellraiser stuff. Some of them, the Hellraiser.
I like the first one. You know, I think the rest of them, there are bits I like about all the rest of them, but they're not necessarily good.
To this day, that scene in the first one still wigs me out when the guy's moving the stuff down in the basement and that nail catches the back of his hand and just rips. Oh, it just makes me cringe every time. It's so real and visceral.
And it's stuff sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that movie. And I remember being like, when I was a kid, I thought I loved Freddy and I loved Jason and I loved Michael. But to me, they were so bogus and fake, especially Freddy, But Pinhead scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. And I was raised in the church. So I was like, I already had this thing about demons. Like The Exorcist used to scare the shit out of me when I was a kid. And I watch it now and I laugh. Yeah. I'm like, man, I think The Exorcist is kind of overrated. But when I was a kid, terrified the hell out of me.
Well, yeah, I was saying, take it for what it was and when it was. Man.
Oh, yeah. It was, people had seen shit like that back then, But, now when she's like doing all that stuff with the cross, I'm just laughing. I'm like, this is like a comedy, man. We're so desensitized now, man. We've had like 80 scary movies.
Yeah. Now you just watch the one with like, the Repossessed movie, the comedy with Liam Nielsen, or is that his name? Or no, the guy that was from the Naked Gun series.
Leslie Nielsen. Yeah, Leslie Nielsen.
It was a parody of The Exorcist back in the day. It was pretty funny.
I bet that's funny. I've never seen that one. But Naked Gun is great, of course.
Yeah, I'm a Top Secret fan. That's my favorite of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll watch Naked Guns too and Airplane. But
I like Loaded Weapon. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Emilio Estevez.
Yeah. David Keith was it? No, who was?
Was it Keith David? Was he in there?
Yeah, I think he was the. I'll have to look it up later.
I have to double check.
That's a lot. I've seen that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't. I was thinking about that not too long ago for some reason, and I think because we're in the middle of the Action Fest right now on the channel, so we've been watching Rambo movies and Mission Impossible, and I was thinking about Lethal Weapon. It's one of my favorite action franchises, and yeah, good stuff. What else? Let's see. All right, let's get back to the comic books in your work.
All right.
Stephan, what are some of your favorite creative influences? Like favorite writers or artists or books or anything like that?
Man, I'm gonna probably go a little cliche on that because, like, I grew up reading like anything Neil Gaiman wrote. Because he can bring dark but clever so well. Like, I'll never be able to write like him, but it's like I read his stuff just like, okay, someday. Terry Pratchett was a huge draw for me growing up. Like his ability to make a footnote half a page long and not make it boring, just always just impressed me. And I would like Good Omens is my favorite book because
I was about to ask if you liked the show that they did.
Show was pretty solid. I was impressed. There was a couple things I was like, okay, you kind of have to go that way because it'd been too hard to do the surreal that's in the book, on a physical form like that. But yeah, all in all, I enjoyed it. I watched it twice. The casting of it was great.
Yes.
I actually have you ever heard the BBC radio drama or radio program of it?
No.
Yeah. Hate to say it, but it's better.
Okay.
Yeah, because again, it's more true to the book. They didn't have to kind of tweak things, but the voice actors they got were just great in it. But yeah, art wise, I hate to say I'm kind of not. I follow more writers than artists, but and then I follow characters like John Constantine Hellblazer. From his original appearance in Swamp Thing, always loved that character. So. He's had some great writers on that. Delano, Garth Ennis. And then trying to think what else is big in my collection. Like old school Valiant, like not well written, honestly. When I go back and read it, like, but what I loved about that was Jim Shooter's ability to like just keep that shit tight, and until they, until they got rid of him, and then they just blew up that universe and it went to crap.
Yeah,
that is like still like one of my. I'll go back through and read those books and just see how well thought out that was to make 12 books, tells their own stories, but still be involved, with the other 11 titles is just amazing.
Yeah, Jim Shooter is a legend, man. He's he did great there. Did you get to meet him, Kevin, when he was here a few years ago?
I did. Very nice guy. And he worked with such great people. Just to hear some of the backstories of him working with John Buscema, who I love, and, some of that stuff was just great. And, even his interactions with Stan and everything. But he was a super nice guy. And I love that stuff.
Yeah, and like a Frankenstein-looking motherfucker, dude. This dude's huge, man.
He is. He's massive.
Yeah, he's a big boy,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's talking about Neil Gaiman and audio dramas. I'm really pumped for they're doing an Audible of Sandman with James McAvoy. Yeah. I'm just counting. It's almost here, right? It's like just a few days away, I think.
Yeah, I think it's next week, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So I'm very excited about that. Kevin,
yeah.
Any artistic comic book creative influences? I bet I know a couple names you're going to name.
Yeah, you know it. Yeah, I'm a 90s kid, so of course, I loved McFarlane, back in the Spawn stuff. Yeah, exactly. I really ate that stuff up. Capullo, but I also love Alan Davis, and I love, like I said, John Buscema was one of his absolutely favorite. I mean, there's so many good people out there. Even now, I mean, Daniel Warren Johnson's my new favorite with the Murder Factory and the Wonder Woman I just read. I haven't read all of it yet, but I've been reading that. Let's see. I mean, of course, for everything from Frank Frazetta too. It's just there's so many great people. Jim Lee. I was always a huge influence on me. Keown. I love all those guys, all those. So yeah, I really. I admit I always followed the artists more than the writers half the time, But I loved Frank Miller, and some of the stuff that he did, the early Sin City stuff, and of course Dark Knight Returns, all that stuff. And but yeah, man, I mean, I've gotten to a point where I just love it all now. I mean, I'll go rummage through the 50 Cent bin and find so much good stuff, that I've gotten to where I just love the craft, and almost there's something about everybody I like pretty much. But there are some top people that I love, which I just named.
You do love the dollar bin diving. I remember when you were super excited. You're like, I am going to put together an entire Atari Force collection here.
That's right. Yeah. Jose Garcia Lopez, loved that guy's stuff. Plus, I was doing a pitch. There was a moment where Dynamite was selling. There were some Atari books that Dynamite got a hold of, and I got to do an image of the Atari Force. And I had heard of it, and that was before I realized how awesome it was. And but of course, we pitched it to Dynamite, and they loved it so much. Or no, DC decided they liked the pitch so much. They're like, well, I think we're just going to keep this, and we'll let you guys take everything else. So unfortunately, it didn't happen with Atari Force, but I did get my piece signed by Garcia Lopez at Heroes Con. So
nice. He was there. That's right.
Yes, love that guy. Super nice guy.
He's a legend, man.
Absolutely.
A legend.
But yeah, I mean, there's so many people that have been an influence on me. It's hard to name them all. There's so many good people.
I bet. By the way, y'all, all Kevin talks about is Greg Capullo. I'm just letting you know. Like, if you know him personally, that's all he talks about. It's Greg Capullo this, Greg Capullo that. I know he's going to be at the shop because I'll be like, a Greg Capullo book came out today, so I'm going to see Kevin today. By the way, I think Death Metal 2's next week, buddy. So
okay,
I'll see you Wednesday.
Even if I don't even have the chance to read it, I'll just thumb through it just to absorb it in visually first before I get around to reading it. Because it takes me like 30 minutes or more to read a comic because I'm like analyzing the crap out of the artwork all the time. So, I mean, for me to read, 4 or 5 books, it's like watching a movie, so it's hard for me to get caught up on some things. Sometimes it's good just to burn through some stuff, but, there's just so much good stuff out there.
Thank you. I used to be the biggest Spawn snob. I hated Spawn. I hated Capullo and McFarlane. I'm completely 180'd on that. I basically decided to just read it and embrace it and just love it. And it's a thing I do every once in a while. You just change something. You change one of your personal paradigms. If you can do that, you have control. So.
Absolutely. I don't care what anybody says. McFarlane was a badass. I mean, it's like he did his own thing. He's got one of the longest running his own independent books. He's in there the whole time, did his own thing. I love McFarlane.
He's still going. He's still doing his thing. All those early Image guys, some of them, I mean, I don't mean this in a bad way, but they sold out. You know what I'm saying? Jim Lee sold out. Hell yeah, he did. Why shouldn't he? You know what I'm saying? Now he's like, publisher of DC Comics. So, good for him. But McFarlane and Larson have always just been like, no, we're just going to do what we wanted to do and what we set out to do. And I have mad respect for McFarlane and what he's done for creator-owned comics. Even though Spawn may not be a Sandman, you know what I'm saying? But it is a Sandman as far as creator-owned comics goes. Like it was proof that we don't necessarily always need the big two to like make us known. Speaking of that, Stephan, is there do you have any desire to work on superhero books? If you got a chance to like go back into that world, is there a certain hero you'd like to do or villain you'd like to work with?
Yeah, I guess I got really lucky. I was able to write all the ones I wanted. I got to write Guy Gardner. I got to write, I had a story that was actually supposed to be Captain Marvel, but they made me change it to Superman, which was fine because I got to write Superman, so I wasn't going to complain about that. Yeah, I guess I would love to write, it's not a superhero, but I would love to write Hellblazer. If I were to do a superhero though, I would love to be able to do like a crossover with Luke Cage and Doc Samson. Oh, cool.
That would be nice. Have you seen the Constantine movie? I guess Constantine is Hellblazer, right? I mean,
yeah.
So if you've seen the DC animated movie, it's really good, really really dark stuff.
Oh, the Justice League Dark one.
Yeah. But yeah, exactly. It's
I thought you were talking about the Keanu Reeves movie, man.
No,
I was like, what the hell is Kevin about to say?
No, the animated stuff that's been coming out through lately has been pretty dark stuff. It's pretty intense.
But I will step up and actually defend the Constantine movie. It's not great, but I've seen a lot worse handling of comic book characters. I mean, it's definitely not true to form. I'd have to take it like an Elseworld version of Constantine. Because like Shia LaBeouf playing Jazz was like the biggest slap to the face,
Yeah, right.
But like the rest of the cast, I mean, the performance they give is really, and they took one of the storylines from the books and tweaked it a little bit. But all in all, I mean, I've watched it several times. It's not great. The TV show was freaking awesome.
Matt Ryan.
Yeah, and it's the only time I actually watch the CW superhero shows is when I know that he's popping in.
Yeah, right.
And it's killing me that CW picked up Swamp Thing, but they still haven't. They still have yet to. I don't know if NBC is just like clawing it back and not letting them do anything with it or what. But the fact that they have not made a Hellblazer show is just so infuriating.
Yeah. I love the character of Constantine. I only seen the Constantine movie with Reeves one time, and I was just so inherently bothered that he wasn't British. Like that bothered me so much. I was like, it's so important to the character that aside from Brian Azzarello, pretty much every writer that ever touched that character was British. I remember that was a big controversy when Brian Azzarello came on to the book, which I love his run. He did the hard time stuff with Richard Corbin. And then I absolutely loved his run. It's a great character, and they always try to force him back into the DC universe, and it doesn't work so well to me when he's with the Justice League as when he's on his own. The new book by Cy Spurrier is actually really good. Really, really liking that one. It's back to those Vertigo roots, that Delano stuff, the Ennis stuff, the Jenkins stuff. It's much more like that, and I really like that. That's a great character.
Yeah,
that's a great character.
Another superhero, actually, I forgot, because this kind of skirts both superhero and Vertigo, but Animal Man.
Animal Man's great. Grant Morrison's like my favorite writer, and so of course I love Animal Man. I have to. It's part of, if you're a card carrying Grant Morrison fan, you got to like Animal Man.
And it's honestly, the character's never been treated right since that run.
Yes, I would agree. 100%.
It's such a great character, and it's been shit on for too long. It's like, I would love to get our hands on Buddy Baker.
I remember we used to always do these things on our Facebook page for our comic shop, and we would be like, who would win between this person and this person? And it's fun because people like having those conversations, right? But then one time we did Animal Man versus Spider-Man, and these people started physically threatening each other over this, right? And this one guy's like, "You're such an idiot. You don't even know what you're talking about, blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, "Look, we're going to just squash this right now. But I'm just going to say Animal Man would totally kill Spider-Man. Animal Man at the peak of his game, first of all, he would just call up Grant Morrison because he's talked to the writer before. He'd just be like, let's handle this. But I love that power set and the way that Morrison took this kind of dumb character from the Silver Age and really kind of did his own thing with it. And I just absolutely love that. I thought that was great.
He was a character that got less respect than Blue Beetle did.
Yeah, right.
And so Grant Morris got a hold of him and actually made him, a formidable, hero and a likable hero. That was the big thing too. Yeah,
I did forget about this, but the Jeff Lemire run's pretty solid. It's okay. I don't think it's quite the Morrison stuff, but it is pretty decent. He did that when Scott Snyder was doing to me, a great run on Swamp Thing. That's another character that's fantastic. Very much related to Constantine, obviously, because he appeared in Swamp Thing first. What about you, Kevin? I know you probably got a whole plethora of characters you'd like to tackle.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In fact, I haven't had a chance to get a hold of many of them, which is why, of course, Batman, Punisher, Spawn. There's so many things I would love to get a hold of. Spider-Man, just for a little while, Again, oddly enough, in my career, I've done a lot of independent stuff, and I hardly ever get a hold of superheroes, And just once, I would love to just get a hold of and the one time I did was, again, the Guardian project with Stan, where I had 30 superheroes, and they were extreme comic book superheroes, and that was one of the most fun I've ever had on a project, But it's, of course, the NHL just sat on that. But there's so many characters I'd love to get a hold of and just have some fun with.
Yeah. I got a 5-year plan for Blade. I always mention that every time I possibly can. And I would love to have Kevin do some of the Blade issues. Marvel, if you're out there, I'm telling you, 5-year plan on Blade. It's great. It's fantastic. And not too long ago, just randomly on a live stream I was doing with some other YouTubers, I came up with the concept of Ghost Thrasher, which is Night Thrasher with the spirit of vengeance. Can you just imagine a flaming skateboard and this dude just rolling through? How badass would Ghost Thrasher?
That would be fun. Absolutely.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
You're not a Night Thrasher fan? I'm a big Night Thrasher guy.
I love New Warriors, and because Speedball is my favorite Marvel character.
Okay.
Wow.
He was my Spider-Man. Because he was the optimistic teenage superhero. When he came out, but and I will punch Mark Millar in the face if I ever see him for what he did to Speedball. But different story for a different time. Night Thrasher. I like. Okay, so it was a cool Batman-esque type character. I hated the skateboard. The skateboard was so 90s. It was so unbelievably 90s.
That's why I loved it so much.
Okay, we got the rich kid who's got all the tech. Let's give him the least efficient way to get around town.
Yeah, I know, right? It is super silly that he's on a skateboard, and he still uses it, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He's married to it. He'll never be able to get rid of it. It's horrible.
Yeah, talk about dated, right? Night Thrasher.
I would probably like that better than Ghost Rider driving a car. That's not riding; that's driving.
So they haven't turned the skateboard into a hoverboard yet, or anything like that.
No, they don't use it near as much as they used to, but he still has it. He's still. I mean, he's not used near as much as he should be, in my opinion. I think Night Thrasher is. Dwayne's one of my favorite characters. I love that dude so much. And yeah, the skateboard thing's silly, but what Night Thrasher, New Warriors? That's like 1990. 1991 or something. I'm like 10 years old. Like I'm like that's
it's totally designed for the kids.
I'm like, hell yeah, this is cool, man.
It just again made absolutely no sense because you had Nova. Yeah. Everybody else had a mode of like personal transportation. They could fly, they could bounce, but then they're like, oh wait, we gotta find a way for him to keep up. Let's do a rocket powered skateboard.
What are kids into today?
It could have been worse. He could have put him on rollerblades. He could have gone old Iron Man with him, put the roller skates in the bottom of the boots.
It would have been 4 years later.
You see Night Thrasher on Heelys.
What I love is his first appearance, like as the New Warriors, like they go up against Juggernaut, right? Yeah. Okay, and I'm always pointing this out to people because they're like, Night Thrasher's kind of dumb. I'm like, really? This dude has no superpowers, and he goes up against Juggernaut with just a skateboard. Tell me anybody else that did that. Not even Spider-Man could do that. So.
Yeah, Tate's a good writer.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I love Fabian Nicieza, and I got to do a panel with him a few years ago and got to spend some time with him, and he's so cool. And, like, everybody's always wanting to talk to him about Deadpool. It's like Deadpool this, Deadpool that. And I just kept bringing the conversation back to Night Thrasher. And so then when the panel was over, he was like, just walk me down. And let's go to the booth and I'll introduce you to Mark, because Mark Bagley was there. And he comes up and he goes, Mark, this is the guy I was telling you about. This is Robbie. He's a big Night Thrasher fan. And Mark's like, I knew there was at least one in Alabama. And then, I just got to spend so much time with them and have so much fun just because they were like, this dude loves. And Fabian said that to him, New Warriors was like the best work he's ever done. Because to him, he was tackling real issues of the time, dealing with real youth of the time. And to him, he couldn't be prouder of anything. And he co-created Deadpool. No matter what Rob Liefeld will tell you, Fabian Nicieza co-created Deadpool. And but Night Thrasher's a better character, in my opinion.
Oh, I'll give you that. Because while Night Thrasher is the archetype of Batman, is original enough where Deadpool is obviously Deathstroke. Just Deathstroke with different markers.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
How about you, Kevin?
A little bit of Spider-Man in there.
You fiending to do some Night Thrasher work with us, man? You can do it.
Absolutely. I enjoyed that series. I mean, I got them all. Heck, I even got my #1 signed by both of them, in Huntsville at that time.
Hell yeah.
I love that series. And Bagley's another one that he's got a lot of energy, and I always love this stuff. I didn't get to read all of that series, but I lasted to about the first 20 issues. So I enjoyed it.
That's honestly the best stuff, probably.
Yeah.
But
now you said he's still on the skateboard, like Night Thrasher still.
Yeah, still got the skateboard.
Has he aged at all? I mean, are we talking? Is he a 30-something? I mean, are we talking Tony Hawk?
He's aged some. He's not used so much. So he makes for a while he was dead.
Oh,
and then he died at the beginning of Civil War.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
His brother was Night Thrasher for a while. That never really worked. And then they just recently brought him back, but he's barely used. I know that they were going to use him in that New Warriors book that set off a lot of people because it's got like a character named Safe Space.
Snowflake and Safe Space. That's it, yeah.
I am even like, I was like, that's a bit on the nose.
Yeah, it really was. That's what my complaint was. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Who came up with this idea and who didn't go, maybe a little heavy-handed?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts, man.
Then the shutdown happened, and it hasn't been resolicited since. But
no, I
was going to pick it up just because anything with Night Thrasher, I'll support a little bit, Mm-hmm. But he does still have the skateboard, but they don't really lean into it like they did back in the day, because it's not the 90s anymore.
Yeah, I was playing the Marvel Contest of Champions game for a while, and then they introduced him into it, and I was like, okay, let's see. And he's on the skateboard. I'm like, really? They found a way for him to fight with the skateboard. That's like so ridiculous. I was like, I don't want this character.
See, I just at this point to me, he's got to have the skateboard because if not, then I feel like you're giving in. And I was like, you got to keep him with the skateboard.
Until he falls off, busts the hip.
Yeah, right. And then when they did bring him back, and I know I think when he was in that game, he had this costume. He had this weird like leather jacket thing going on, and now,
he's got the duster almost. Like,
and now he's back to the normal Night Thrasher kind of garb, which I don't know. How
they bring him back from the dead. Yeah, I hate when they do that in comics, but I'm always interested in if they actually have a logical way of doing it.
It was Al Ewing, and it was so Jonathan Hickman did a Secret Wars thing, right? And he basically like ended the entire Marvel multiverse, and then Doom saved bits and pieces of things, and then it came back, and there was this book that spun out of it called Contest of Champions. I think it was even designed to be tied into the game or whatever, and so like the Maestro was like pulling different people from different realities or something. And I think he plucked them from something and put them in there. And so I'm a little unclear on how exactly it happened. I'm just glad it happened. So I think that's what it was though. He got pulled.
Timeline?
Something like that. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe. I don't know. Does it really matter though?
Yeah, showing my age here, but Marvel's Contest of Champions was like one of the first multiverse crossover comic book events for Marvel in the 80s. It predates the original Secret Wars.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I'm assuming the new one was pretty much the same type of thing because again, it was a collector pulling and all the.
Yeah. And in this one, it was like there was the Maestro had a team, and then there was somebody else that had a team, and they were pulling different people and playing them against each other. Like they had not Frank Castle, but Jake Gallows, the Punisher 2099.
Oh, yeah.
Reappeared in that. I'm like, how awesome. 2099.
That would be fun.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Well, let me know when they bring back Spider-Man 2099, because that was my favorite.
Oh, they brought him back.
I did enjoy it, yeah.
Yeah, Nick Spencer just brought him back. They actually did this big event where they kind of rebooted the 2099 universe.
Okay.
And Nick Spencer says he's like, because in 1993, the vision we had of that far in the future is completely different now.
Of course, yeah.
And so they made it more dystopian, and it was a really muddy story that just kind of came out of nowhere. But they did bring Miguel back and some of the other characters, and then they did something different with it, and it just didn't quite feel the same. But Miguel is still there. So
okay. Yeah, exactly. I still have my run of Spider-Man 2099.
That was good stuff. Peter David did a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. Rick Leonardi, great stuff.
Yeah.
And he should be showing up in like the next Spider-Man, the Spider-Verse. They gave a hint that he's going to be in that.
Right. Which means he will have a new series.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Disney don't watch the movie unless you get.
As Robbie knows, I hit those dollar books and got nearly all of the 2099 90 stuff.
I do remember that now. You were like all gung ho for that.
Yeah, I don't know when I'm going to sit down and read them, but I got nearly all of them.
I still have the full run of Doom 2099. So.
In case you run out of paper towel.
Oh no! Because Dr. Doom's my favorite character, man.
But yeah, honestly, all the other 2099 stuff, I just never got into. I thought it was just again, it even in the 90s, it panged at the 90s. It was just
it did. Especially like Ravage 2099, where you got Stan Lee trying to write this like new, hip, fresh book. But you had Paul Ryan on the artwork, and that was really good stuff.
Yeah. But I didn't last too long in it, but I did read the first few issues of it, and it was kind of fun at the time. But yeah, I never kept up with it. And same thing with the X-Men. I read like the first maybe 10 or so.
That was the biggest offender of all of them, I think. It was just so poorly done. It was just
X-Men was really bad.
Yeah, they're just cashing in on the name. And
it was the only one that got a toy line. Like, it's kind of
right.
Yeah,
you're right. There should have been a 2099 Spider-Man toy.
They eventually did them.
Yeah, it might have been later.
Yeah, but they did the whole X-Men line. I'm like, no, do a 2099 line. Give me a Punisher. Like, I like the design on the Punisher 2099.
I do like the skull with the gun.
Yeah, I like that, and I really liked the Doom one because it was still Victor. It wasn't a different person. It was Victor. It was basically like, screw this. I'm going to the future, and he takes over. And he's like, so he wins in the future because there's no Fantastic Four. Then they did a short-lived Fantastic Four 2099 series where it was them going into the future to stop Victor, which I think is see. I call him Victor because we're on a personal level,
of course,
like that.
So,
You know.
so apparently in those stories there are a lot of DeLoreans. Is that what's going on? I mean, because a lot of time travel happening there.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, that's why I think it would be funny. I want to do a Terminator story where like a Terminator sees another Terminator as they're going through the time tunnel, whatever. Like, I mean, there should literally be Terminators dropping off at every point in existence in the Terminator franchise. They just keep sending people back and forth. Like, that whole continuity is all jacked up, right?
Oh yeah. Well, that's all. I mean, like, again, time travel is such a sticky thing to do, and especially when you start doing sequels. But yeah, because the first movie, I was like, okay, did they just have enough power to send one back? And why did they send it to a point in time where they could actually be defeated, with weaponry? Like, find that bloodline back to the Wild West where there's 6 shooters.
Yeah, right.
Rob it and take it out,
Oh yeah. We got a question from Robbie. Robbie says, last question, but earlier you guys were talking about UFOs, ghosts, and conspiracy. So what about Bigfoot? Any thoughts on Bigfoot?
I don't know, man. I think anything's possible, but I can't. I'm completely convinced. I mean, there actually is, like, in a museum, like, there's some giant ape creature that did exist back in the day. That was like, I forgot what museum it was, but it was. I mean, I've seen pictures of it, but of course that was long time ago. But I have no real comment on that one.
We found the line for Kevin.
Yeah,
Bigfoot is the conspiracy line that he won't cross. You're muted, buddy. You're muted. I'm not sure.
Kevin's like, I don't know, Bigfoot's just too much of a threat.
I know. Yeah. But there's like this crazy story, I mean, that I've listened to of these military guys who told you that was their mission, is they went out to go hunt these things. I mean, and the guy sounds like he's so serious. But again, you just never know what you're going to hear on the internet.
I remember doing snipe hunts in summer camp. So, yeah, that's pretty much the same thing, in my opinion. Yeah.
Sure, yeah. I can't quite buy that one myself.
Yeah, but Bigfoot seems like it's a cool idea to believe, and there's obviously creatures that we don't know about. It took forever to find the giant squid, right? But it's not like we found it, we discovered it, but it's not the giant kraken type thing that we all envision. You know what I'm saying? But I think for the most, it's I don't know, maybe it's like drunk campers and there's a bear somewhere nearby them or something, right? That seems plausible. I don't know.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, me and Kevin are talking about seeing strange lights in the sky. So, whatever.
Yeah. Well, like I said, Bob Lazar and Area, he said he worked at Area 51. There seems to be proof that he did. There are people that talk about, having UFOs and vehicles. So I do think there is a cover up on that situation.
What if Bigfoot's a fucking alien, Kevin? What if Bigfoot's an alien?
There's no telling, man. There is no telling.
The Bob Lazar stuff's interesting because they said, no, he didn't work here. And then they found that employee manifest where he's like listed in the directory. Like
exactly.
Like, it's not hard to get me to believe that the government lies to us.
What?
Oh, yeah. What? You mean the official story isn't official? What are you talking about?
Robbie's got a Bigfoot story. I need to hear this, Robbie. Us Robbies got to stick together. You know what I'm saying? So I'll say this. The Bigfoot footage is so obviously fake to me. The one where he's like, Bigfoot's like walking around and like looks back. Yeah. And I think they even came out and said that was a hoax, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, yeah. And that's my thing with things like Bigfoot and stuff. Like, it would be cool if it did exist, but there's just way too many people walking around with cameras nowadays, and it always, no picture, no proof in my world.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because they hear, oh man, this just happened. Like, did you film it? Oh no, I didn't think about that. I'm like, you're just telling me a story. You just saw something for 30 seconds. My camera would have been out on a heartbeat, just to get something of that footage. Yeah, but, yeah. So, yeah, the Bigfoot, like, it was when growing up as a kid, I wanted to believe, just like Champ and Nessie and all that. But yeah, cryptids in general, I think are just good folklore.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think a lot of this stuff is all tied together in some kind of weird, subjective, maybe possible ultra terrestrial, extra dimensional type thing where it's like maybe there's something else going on that's not quite physical. I don't that seems weird just to kind of say in a nutshell.
Yeah,
But,
I've heard that too.
Yeah, like the idea that like a lot of alien experiences, if you take out some specific details, visions of the Blessed Virgin Mary or angels or demons or ghosts or ancestors or UFOs or aliens, they kind of fit a similar pattern.
Yeah, there's a theme.
And and I think that there's something when people take psychedelics, especially like DMT or ayahuasca, they seem to all go to the same place and experience these same entities. And I think there's some kind of bleed through from like some other dimension. Possibly, it's not quite a Teen Dog Shades night, but I think it's some kind of bleed through from like, I think it's more of a subjective experience, but I think it's a shared experience through the collective unconscious. I don't know.
Well, there is, if you look up online, there is the Disclosure Project, and so they have had a.
You're the one that hooked me up on the Disclosure Project. You changed my world, Kevin. Thanks for making me.
I'm telling you, I mean, there's a lot of military people that come out to tell you what they've been a part of. That's why I feel, the government's probably 20, 30 years ahead of where we actually are. I mean, but you can listen to, again, what Bob Lazar was a part of, the anti-gravity stuff. And that goes into Werner von Braun and his assistant and what she told you. And that what Von
deathbed confession
told her was that, that's part of it is weaponizing space and whether or not they're actually around. But, which even the Watchmen talked about, the fake alien invasion, again, give the enemy, and then they all unite, one world government kind of stuff. That's a whole other thing. But yeah, just talking about the Disclosure Project, there's a lot of people that talk about their experiences, and what they've been a part of, which is why I do think there is a massive cover up on something, But there's no telling, man.
If y'all out there in the PCP Army have not gathered this yet, Kevin will be joining us for a Teen Dog Shades night one day. I guarantee you.
Yes, with shades.
He can literally go for hours. I've been there when he does it. He just go on for hours.
Oh yeah. Like I said, yeah, Bob Lazar and what was that astronaut? I'm blanking on his name right now, but
there's a few different astronauts that have experiences.
Yeah, Edgar Mitchell is one that, he feels there's a cover-up going on. And there's some NASA footage. I mean, there's some satellite footage of stuff coming in and out from this place, that would not surprise me.
Almost every astronaut that goes into space has some kind of paranormal and or spiritual experience. It's got to be a crazy thing to be up there and see the whole world. You know what I'm saying? And it's got to be a crazy thing. Stefan's like, man, what did I get into?
No, I'm actually trying to find the article that came out a couple weeks ago about NASA releasing footage.
Yeah.
The Pentagon confirmed recently those things that the Blink-182 guy leaked.
Yeah, they're declassifying a bunch of videos.
I mean, yeah.
Do you guys know who Elliot Rahal is, the writer, the comic book writer?
I do not.
He's a comic book writer. He writes a book right now. It's a really good book at Vault Comics. It's about ninja cyberpunk vampires in the year 3333. It's actually pretty good. It's called Bleed Them Dry. But
I saw it. I did.
It's good, Kevin. It's good. But he actually has an experience that him and his stepdad were abducted when he was like a kid. And he wrote a book called Midnight Vista.
I was about to say, wait, that's Midnight Vista. Yeah,
that's Midnight Vista. That's the guy. That's Elliot Rahal. It's still a dream one day to get him on the show. I need to get in touch with him and see if he wants. I don't know how comfortable he would be talking about that. I don't know if he's
open.
Yeah, it seems like he's open because he talks a lot about it.
No. Because I worked out. That was when I was with Aftershock and everything. We put that book out. So
nice.
Yeah. I can get you in touch with him.
Sweet.
Yeah, you should.
Not a problem.
I got a lot of mutuals with him, and so like I'm just waiting. I'm like, I just don't want to be like. By the way, I want to bring you on the show. We'll talk about your comics, and I really want to talk about your UFO shit.
Oh no, tell him straight up. He'll talk about that.
Hell yeah.
That'll probably be the reason. Yeah, he'll come on for the show.
I mean, that honestly was why he did Midnight Vista, right?
Yeah. The more people you get to, listen to him talk about it, the more, easier for him.
Hell yeah. Yeah,
he's a guy named.
Experience, man. Kevin, if you haven't read Midnight Vista, I think you'd really like that.
I want to. I just haven't had a chance to pick it up. But if you ever listen to a guy named Phil Schneider, he's got an interesting story too. Of course, they took him out, so he's not going to be talking anymore.
Isn't that the guy from the Dave Letterman show, played keyboards?
No, that's not him.
That's a joke.
But yeah, I know, like I said, you never know what's the truth, but he sounds pretty credible. And again, he didn't last too long.
Well, I appreciate both of you being here and chatting with us for a while and chatting with the PCP Army and talking about UFOs and conspiracies and, of course, zombie fiction and zombie-adjacent fiction and your upcoming Extinction book remastered. So real quick, let's do it. The final battle, the final plug. Tell everybody one more time what it is, where to find it, what it's going to be. And there's only like 6 days left. So get on this Kickstarter. There's a description in the comments below. So I really do appreciate you guys. So final thoughts, Stephan?
Well, the quick plug for the Kickstarter, Extinction's the title. It's easy to find. It is a story about the people living on Prince Edward Islands, how they've isolated themselves during a pandemic that's causing people to become violent and zombie-like. And the main character is Dr. Chris Perry, who is trying to come up with a cure because people on the island are starting to get infected, and their days are running short. And then the main Hannibal is an infected who's leading an army towards the island.
Yeah, good stuff. Intense.
Absolutely. I'm trying to make it as intense as possible visually as well. Got the reds going, a lot of action, a lot of creepiness, and I think again pushing the textures and just making it just as fun as possible.
Heck yeah. So you guys out there, go ahead and get on it. You only got a few days left, and there's some excellent stuff that you can get. Bonus covers, the sketch involved that Kevin can do. You can get something hopefully as cool as that, right, Kevin? Look at that.
Absolutely. Got the best character in the book, Hannibal, on right there.
Hell yeah. So I appreciate you guys being here and chatting about your book and just chatting about life and pop culture and more. I hope to have both of you on the channel again. It's been a lot of fun chatting with you. And we definitely got to get Kevin up here on the Team Dog Shades night.
I'm looking forward to it, Robbie. I'm looking forward to it.
Kevin already knows what's going on with that, man.
Okay, well, I got to ask, what is this?
So when I put these shades on, every so often, I put the shades on the live stream. And that means that night we're talking about that kind of shit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
People love it, and it's anything from ghost stories to paranormal, any kind of paranormal experience, anything weird. I've had people on and we've talked about seeing like Jesus is a common vision that people have. And once again, I think it's subjective. It's tied into what you would expect to see. I think if there are any kind of entities, they come to us in a way that you would be easily like prepared to see them as, almost in a way. Like I had a Jesus vision when I was a kid, and it was pretty freaking spooky, to be honest with you, because when you're a kid, nothing's scarier than Jesus. Okay.
Yeah. But as you know, anybody knows me knows that there's much more going on than what we see. So that's for sure.
Hell yeah. So thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Thank you for chatting with us. And please do check out the Kickstarter. The link is down in the description below. And join the rest of us here at PCP and back this Kickstarter and get this book, because the remastered artwork and the story and everything is just super fire, and you guys are going to love it. So thank you so much once again for rocking with us. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups. This is Kevin, and this is Stephan. And we are dipping out. Y'all have a good one. Eyes above. Eyes above.
Yeah. Take care.